Eyewitness News presents Newsmakers, winner of the Pennsylvania Association of Broadcasting Award for Excellence in Public Affairs Programming, with your hosts, Jayne and Bugda and Andy Mehalshick.
Welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Andy Mehalshick.
And I'm Jayne and Bugda. Outreach Centers for Community Resources helps build strong families and strong communities with programs ranging from parenting to help in finding a job.
And today we'll learn how outreach helps people of all ages navigate through life's challenges with success.
We'll introduce you to our guests, and our conversation will begin when this edition of Newsmakers begins right after this. Welcome back to Newsmakers. I'm Jayne and Bugda along with Andy Mehalshick. Our topic of conversation today is Outreach Community Center for Resources. They've been part of our community since 1988, but you may know them by a different name, recent name change. Joining us today, we are with Linda Ciampi. She is the Executive Director of Outreach. Carlene Nicholas, who is the Outreach Program Manager of Early Childhood Visiting Programs, and Jennifer Shoemaker, who is the Lead Manager, and we'll be talking about that program. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome.
Thanks for being.
And we know you've been part of the community for a long time. We want to know a little bit about the history, which includes a recent name change and some program changing. So let's begin there. Tell us about the history.
Sure, Jayne. We're delighted to be here to share some of our story and the services and programs that we've been providing to the community for over 30 years. We celebrated our 30th anniversary, but we were really known originally as Employment Opportunity and Training Center of Northeastern Pennsylvania, or EOTC. And most folks didn't quite realize or understand what it was that we did. The name didn't connect or resonate with folks, and our board decided last June to change the name, and so we became Outreach Center for Community Resources, and we really believe it's been very well received in the community. They feel they understand now better what we do, that we're there for the community.
And you really do a lot in the community, and I think people are going to be really surprised of all the programs that you offer. You are Lackawanna County based, so you service just Scranton area and Lackawanna County?
All of Lackawanna County, correct.
Tell us a little bit about the mission of outreach and how it's changed through the years.
Well, we started as a small grant for women going back, Homemakers grant from the state and federal government, and that small grant led us to understand that it wasn't just a woman's program that necessarily needed to support families. It's really the family system as a unit and as a whole that needed the support. So that from there we went from focusing on women entering the workforce to really the whole family system and what other programs would help support the success. And we look at our goal as twofold. One is economic self-sufficiency, but it's also family stability. And those two particular pillars are in our mission statement. That's what we want to see for families in our area.
And who can take part in your programs, and are there any kind of requirements to be involved with outreach?
They're really, it's program dependent on requirements. Some are age specific, but in general, most anyone can walk through the door, and if we don't have a program to help support them, we will find somewhere that they can find help.
Now, one of your main objectives is to help people, as you said, in finding jobs. So let's talk a little bit about that. What happens when you come to outreach and say, you know, I'm having a little bit of trouble here? What happens? How do you help them?
Well, I think probably Jen could speak to that.
Definitely. I think, you know, when somebody is coming in looking for a job, first thing we do is, where are you at? We work with people to do resume writing and cover letters. We work with people to do interviewing skills, mock interviews. Sometimes some people just need some basic skills when it comes to navigating a computer. word processing, looking through job search sites, and figuring out how to upload and attach a resume. So we kind of start with some of the basics, and we start where the person's at. Then we look at their qualifications, like what are they thinking of doing? Where would they like to go? What kind of experiences and job interests and ideas do they have? And then what we do is we have job postings that come out every week, and they're able to look through the job postings and through that able to apply for jobs. We have a computer lab. It's open to everyone. We have 5 computers. We welcome everybody to come, sit down, work with myself, some of our other staff that are helping out with the employment aspect, and really, trying to find not just a job, but I think a career, something that somebody's going to want to do, that's going to bring them fulfillment and, a sustainability as well.
Jennifer, I have to ask, you mentioned mock interviews.
Yes.
And I think a lot of folks, do they underestimate the importance of an interview? Because with this technology age, the digital platforms,
Absolutely.
Facebook, it's so impersonal, but how important is it, and do you see a need out there for mock interviews to do the right thing?
Sure, absolutely. I think the availability and need for mock interviews is so important. Definitely it gets people comfortable in the social setting and meeting with employers and being comfortable with being asked certain questions, and being able to be prepared to present themselves in the best light possible and put their best foot forward as well. And I think if you're more prepared for that, you're also a little bit more confident, and it really shows through, as well as you can actually present some of your personality too during the interview as well.
Because I'm going to assume here that people, that you could, resumes, we all know resumes sometimes, I'm not going to say fiction, it could be enhanced, or a Facebook image, or,
Sure.
But you can't fake who you are.
You cannot.
Are there some do's and don'ts?
Do's and don'ts. I always tell people to be themselves. Don't try to be someone or something you're not. Let your true personality shine through. And my biggest thing is be honest. Be upfront. Don't make up anything. Don't enhance anything. Don't feel like you have to enhance anything. Let who you are and your personality shine through. And a lot of times that genuineness and that quality and enthusiasm for probably the job they want to have is going to land them the job.
And as I get more mature in this business and we take part in some interviews, those of us who have been around for a while, we know phonies.
You do, yeah.
Really, I hate to say it, we know phonies.
Now tell us
I
about,
digress.
Tell us about the new program that you're heading up.
I'm so glad you asked. Very exciting new program, L.E.A.D Center, and L.E.A.D stands for Lead, Educate, and Development. And what it is, it's what we're primarily focused. It's open to everybody. Anybody, any demographics, any age, like we had flashed up, between 15 to 101 or older we have. But we're really focusing on underserved individuals. So individuals that might have mental health issues, drug and alcohol issues, criminal records. And what we're doing is meeting with them. Again, we're doing our resumes, our cover letters, we're looking through the job postings, and what we're going to do is meet with employers, be a pipeline between employees and employers to try to get people that are underserved into great jobs, jobs that they're going to make a career out of, that bring them fulfillment, that bring them that sense of confidence and well-being that a lot of us already have and we love. I went to a job fair on Tuesday. There was an expo up in the area, and we had some great positive interactions with employers. And because of that, we have some sites already set up for visitation. And again, that's just educating employers and having them be a little bit more open to maybe some people that they feel can be apprehensive when there really isn't any need.
So you're making community connections.
Absolutely.
So and if someone is interested in learning more, a business out there, they can contact you.
Absolutely. Contact me at the center. We're hoping to expand our hours very soon with particularly the L.E.A.D program, and offer more availability in our computer room. Again, open to everybody, but certainly a concentration on underserved people. And I'm there every day, Monday through Friday, and I welcome walk-ins and phone calls and anytime.
And we do have information, and we have the phone number up, and we will have it on our website, pahomepage.com, and we will have your website linked to ours as well. And Outreach has many, many programs, and we're just kind of touching the surface here today. But we also want to talk about, as we begin, parenting, and that's another main component of what you do every day. Tell us a little bit about some of the parenting programs.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that all of our programs are evidence-based. So on the family serving side, we have 3 early childhood home visitation programs, and the primary focus of those programs is school readiness. We want to ensure that children have the skills that they need to enter kindergarten ready to learn. We serve children in that program. We serve pregnant mothers and parents with children from birth to kindergarten graduation. And we very seriously say that school readiness begins at conception. We also have some parenting groups that are done right at the Outreach Center. We have the Incredible Years parenting program. It serves parents with children beginning at the age 2 up to about 10 years of age, and they are teaching parents skills to for effective discipline and how to handle problem behaviors. We also have Guiding Good Choices, which is another group that meets at the Outreach Center, and in that program parents are learning how to talk with their children and give them the skills to make good choices. And that program is appropriate for parents that are parenting children between the ages of like 10 and 14.
And how do parents learn about your programs? How are they?
Well, we do get a lot of referrals from community agencies. We get a lot of referrals from pediatricians' offices. Some of our programs are, parents will learn about our programs in court. We really, through word of mouth, but we really accept any parent. The only criteria that we have for our programs is that you're pregnant or you're parenting a child from birth up to in our home visiting programs up to kindergarten graduation.
And we're seeing a growing segment of children being raised by grandparents
Right.
from a multitude of reasons. Opioid crisis being one of them, of course, as you know.
Yes.
What kind of a challenge is that? Because they've raised their kids, and now they're, and of course they're willing to do it.
Yeah.
But what programs are offering for them who now are thinking, I'm going around my second time around, am I prepared for this? It's a whole new world.
Well, that's funny. We have had a lot of grandparents that enroll in our programs, and grandparents are really smart because they realize that things have changed with parenting over the years, and they are not intimidated at all to come and enroll in our programs. They ask questions, they're more open to hearing suggestions, but we also don't limit the structure of parenting in a family. We know that there's single dads that are heads of their household. We know that foster parents can use help with parenting, or adoptive parents. So really, again, if you have custody of a child and that child is in that age group, we welcome you to our programs.
Now let's talk a little bit. Where are the programs centered? Where is everything happening?
Well, many of our programs occur at the center on 7th Avenue in downtown Scranton. However, many of the programs we do offer out in the community as well. We've had home visiting programs that Carlene was alluding to or speaking about earlier, where we actually have staff going out into the homes and educating parents about different aspects of parenting in their homes. But many of the groups that we talked about for education occur at the center.
And that's where also the LEAD program is as well.
Correct. That's correct.
Talk about a little bit about how many lives you impact, do you think, on a daily basis, on a yearly basis?
On an annual basis, it's over 5,000 lives that we touch in a year. And again, people just walk in the door at any point in time, and wherever we can meet a need, we're there to help.
And it's interesting, we throw numbers out there, 5,000 people. That's like the equivalent of the community of Jessup.
Yeah.
Or Oliphant. You think about that every year?
Every year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And we'll talk a little bit about this. We mentioned that you're looking for businesses and opportunities for the workforce. How about for the parenting program? Do you look for any volunteers for that type of program?
Yes, we have several things throughout the year. One of the things that we have volunteers do, and actually a lot of businesses do this for us, is they collect donations of very good used children's books. We have a book cart in our lobby, and children are always invited to come in to just take books off that. We want them to have books in their home. We have, during the holidays, a Toyland workshop event where we have volunteers come in and help us set up that. And we are planning in October to have a children's career fair, and we'll be needing volunteers for that program.
We know the question comes up in every group we have on, the opioid crisis, drug and alcohol prevention, addiction in general. Do you provide help in those areas as well, and how do you do that?
Yes. We have just attended the governor's Plans of Safe Care Institute, and what that is, we're actually a member of that multidisciplinary team. And what happens there is when a baby is born in the hospital and is admitted to the NICU with complications from substance abuse, we would enroll that mom and child into one of our home visiting programs, and our family development specialists would work closely with that mom and the baby, making sure that the baby is developing as expected, making sure that the mom and the baby are forming a close attachment, and just making sure that mom and the baby are doing okay.
You know, as you're talking about these different programs and you keep evolving, what do you think is the next program? What are you looking to add to your roster? Is there something out there that you're thinking about that you would like, that program that
I can speak a little bit about the parent and child serving programs. We know that too many children are entering kindergarten not ready to learn. We hear it all the time. And we've been working very closely with the Scranton School District. We've been attending their kindergarten registrations. We've been having the parents complete child development forms. And then we take those forms and we score them. And for children that are showing a delay, we are enrolling them in the home visiting program and working with those families up until kindergarten graduation.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with outreach. You're watching Newsmakers, and you can find information on today's show on pahomepage.com. We're under the Newsmakers link, and this is Newsmakers. We are a proud recipient of 3 Pennsylvania Association of Broadcasting Awards for Excellence in Public Affairs Programming, and we'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Newsmakers. Jayne and Bugda along with Andy Mehalshick. Outreach Centers for Community Resources, our topic today. They're based in Scranton, serve Lackawanna County. We had a little bit of a cast change out here, so let me reintroduce everyone. Linda Ciampi is the Executive Director. Carlene Nicholas is the Program Director for the Early Childhood Development. And Jennifer Shoemaker was with us with the LEAD program, but now joining us is Kelly Kareka. And Kelly is an early Head Start participant, and she recently attended a big event that she's going to tell us about. But Kelly, tell us a little bit about how you came to the outreach program. Tell us a little bit about your involvement with outreach.
Well, this is actually my family's 3rd time being involved with outreach. It's funny because we've been affected by them 3 different times, and not once did we ever go to outreach and ask for their help. My boy's dad was involved with their program of the resumes and the finding the job and doing all that, and he hasn't done it in years, but knows to this day he can walk into Jayne's office at any time and she'll still help him tweak his resume. The second time I was in a women's group a few years back, and one of the women from, well, at that time EOTC, Elaine, was one of the facilitators of that group. And then just about a year and a half ago, I applied for Early Head Start for my youngest son, and I was expecting someone from Head Start to come, but no, it was Nicole is her name from Outreach. Now comes to my house once a week and teaches me how to teach my child better.
And how's it been helping you?
It's really good. At first I was really scared. I was really nervous that she was going to judge, you know, how I parented in my house and all of this stuff, but she's actually become an enormous resource to my family. She has taught me things and kept me calm during situations. She's a great support, not just for helping teach my son, but for me as a parent overall.
And Kelly, you recently shared your addiction situation with the governor's, a special panel with the governor. Can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, I was asked to just go tell my story to make people familiar with it. I think when people think of an addict, they have a certain persona in their mind of who it is, and it was really important to me to get across that, you know, all addicts aren't born in back alleys and basements, and we have a story. And I've always said, if you walked in my shoes, you may have made the choices I made too. So I told my story, and then just talked about the programs, the things that I think are needed to help addicts today, especially mothers, because obviously something's not working since we are in this crisis, and the fact that people are actually starting to ask addicts their opinion, I think is a huge opportunity for us, rather than just sitting in groups saying this isn't doing anything for me.
And where was the event that you spoke at?
Kalahari,
Okay, and what was the name of it again? It was the
the Governor's Institute.
And tell us a little bit about, you spoke there, and how are you bringing that back to help with outreach and helping others?
Well, actually, they have a group for Lackawanna County, and they're trying to find ways to best get to the moms and the babies, and that's really the hardest part, is getting through the us versus them mentality that a lot of women have. Nobody wants to admit to being an addict. You don't assume that you can say, you know, I'm pregnant and I'm a drug addict and somebody's going to help you. You think you're going to be in trouble and they're going to take my baby. So we're trying to find ways to get to these women without them being afraid, without them running, and seeing all of the resources that are available.
And Kelly, if I can, because you've lived it, you've experienced it, your family, what would you want to say to folks out there who might be watching now who may just misunderstand or be not educated on how you got to your situation, to make them more open-minded? Because I think what I'm seeing on the road, at least anecdotally, covering different stories, I'm seeing more of an awareness of addiction. Not judgmental, not, well, that's a certain kind of people, certain kind of neighborhood, certain kind of socioeconomic background. But what do you would tell folks out there who may not be as open-minded, just to say, listen, hear what we have to say, because it could be your family next.
Right. I compare addiction to breathing or eating. Once you get so far in your addiction, your brain is telling you to take these drugs, and when you don't, your entire body is fighting against you. Your entire brain is telling you, you need to do this or I'm going to die, you need to do this or I'm going to die. Imagine someone holding your head underwater and saying that's the way that you're supposed to live from now on without oxygen. So it's very hard in the beginning to get past that, to trust people and to get past that initial shock and fight off your natural instincts to get clean. And once you get far enough through it, you'll start to see the benefits and it'll get easier and easier.
How has outreach changed your life?
Honestly, being involved with outreach is like having the most well-connected friend in the area. Like, I know for any issue that my family has, I always talk to Nicole first and say, you know, is there anything like you could do? Even for, I have a family member who's a grandparent raising her grandson, and I went to Nicole and asked what resources were available for her, and they helped me put my aunt in touch with resources. So it's really like just having someone there to support you.
I like that, well-connected friend.
And you know, we're talking about well-connected friends and all these great programs, but we know there's no pixie dust or daddy warbucks. Linda, how do you afford all these kind of great programs? Where does the money come from?
Well, a good deal of it comes from the generosity of our local community and donors. Way back when we started, it was primarily funded through government, the programs. But now we've come to a point where many of our nonprofits in our area are struggling with government funds. We've been reduced to 79% of our funding is now coming from government. So the makeup of that 21% comes from the generosity of local foundations and community members and donors.
And we have a very generous community.
We do.
But
we
still,
absolutely do.
There's only so many resources out there.
Right.
So
Exactly.
if someone's watching this now saying, you know what, I'd like to help out, what can they do?
Give us a call, email us, look at our website, outreachworks.org. It will give several options as to how someone might like to get involved or contribute to the organization. And they can also look at our results. Our outcomes are clearly identified in all the programs. And I think that's helpful for a donor to know about where their money is going and how it's being spent.
Sure.
And also on your website, you also have a wish list of some items that you need. What do you need that, if you could think right now, what is something that is really needed in your organization?
I think Carlene mentioned earlier is the books. We really believe that literacy is an important component to the education to our families, particularly getting our next generation of children reading and prepared for success in school. So I would say that's probably one of the primary things that we'd be looking
Yeah,
for?
we're not an organization that can store things, so we don't take clothing, we don't take furniture, but because we connect people to organizations that do that. Now, sometimes people will let us know that they have, pots and pans and dishes because they're moving. If we have somebody that can use them right away, we will pass them on. Children's clothing is another thing that we can pretty much take and pass on to a family. But again, we don't store that kind of stuff at our agency.
But if anyone has questions, or if anyone wants
Yes.
to volunteer time, or wants to contribute money, or wants to learn about your programs, the number's on the screen. But we also have the information on pahomepage.com. Just quickly, Linda, what's next for outreach?
We're always looking for an opportunity to serve the community in any way that we can, and partnering with other agencies and businesses, whatever they see as an opportunity. We want to sit at the table and have a conversation.
We want to thank you for doing good work in the community, and thank you
Thank
for
you so much.
sharing your
Thank you.
story with
Our
us
pleasure.
today.
Our pleasure.
For Andy Mehalshick and everyone behind the scenes, I'm Jayne Bugda. Check us out on pahomepage.com. We're under the Newsmakers link to learn more about today's show and other shows. And thank you for joining us.